guys, it is another weekend here at the Rod Squad house, so I am just going to be starting off some meal prep in the kitchen, and I figured I would just take y'all along again for my unplanned meal plan kind of deal. So if you are someone who likes to go with the flow and likes some flexibility in life, then this video is going to be for you because I do make some sort of plan, but it is very flexible, it is very open-ended, and honestly for me that is what works best. So the first thing I actually do every weekend is I just start pulling out meat from the freezer. Do I know exactly what I'm going to do with it yet? No, I do not, but that is okay. If I have thawed meat in the refrigerator, I can very quickly get my creative juices going and start cooking. Whenever I go to make dinner and everything is frozen, it is real frustrating. So my first step is to just put meat in the refrigerator to thaw, and then later I'll make a plan for what to do with it. So I do typically like to get a variety of meat. This is some frozen chorizo. I make pasta with it sometimes. I also, obviously, you can make like breakfast eggs and make breakfast tacos. This is some turkey meat that I get from Costco. I cut it into threes usually and freeze them individually. Some ground pork, some shredded, already cooked, pre-shredded chicken, and then this shoulder roast. So I'm not sure what we're going to do with any of this yet, but at least know I have a variety of thawed meat. I'm going to just put this in the refrigerator and just leave it in there and pull things out as I need them. So that first night I decided to use the shredded chicken because it was already cooked. I honestly had no idea what kind of soup I was making when I started, but it definitely transformed itself into like a red curry kind of Thai soup. These are some of my favorite pantry staples. I always keep coconut milk on hand. I absolutely love this red curry paste here. It has some really good spices, but not too spicy for the kids. And then I always keep some fish sauce on hand as well for different Thai or Asian type of recipes. So this was a really yummy, like creamy kind of curry soup. It turned out absolutely delicious. The next night I decided to go ahead and use the chorizo. So I typically make a breakfast casserole using pork sausage, but I decided to do the same thing with the chorizo. So I also got some fried potatoes going. I tend to make more than one meal at a time when I'm in the kitchen. So I'm cooking up the chorizo for the casserole, but at the same time I was making some breakfast tacos. So this is the first time I'm doing bacon in the oven. I did it a little bit too long, but I absolutely loved the idea of it, and it didn't pop at me. So there's the casserole. Then I'm also washing potatoes. I just kind of go back and forth doing all the different things while I'm in the kitchen. Then I went ahead and shredded some cheese, chopped the bacon, scrambled some eggs, and started assembling our breakfast tacos. The casserole was cooking, about to be done, and then I just cleaned up the mess, and that was all for that day. The next night, I actually had switched out the pork loin for the roast. So I actually buy the pork loin and just make my own pork chops. That way you can choose how thick you want them. Then I just put a bunch in a pan and decided to do kind of a fall-inspired type of meal. So there's some sweet potatoes and some apples. Those sweet potatoes I had scrubbed the night before, so all I had to do was chop them up. Then I got some olive oil, apple cider, some spicy mustard, coconut sugar, garlic, pepper, and paprika, and made kind of a sauce that I poured over the meat and the veggies. Alongside this, my kids love these green beans. It is important if you're going to make them like this to get the French cut green beans, but I just put frozen green beans in the pan, pour a little chicken broth on top, add a generous amount of garlic powder, like you can just never go wrong, and I think I put about half a teaspoon of salt in there as well. Then I just put a lid on it after giving it a good stir and kind of let it cook and steam until the green beans get soft and some of the broth evaporates off. Then with those potatoes I watched yesterday, I had made some mashed potatoes, and the kids really wanted mac and cheese. This ended up being like a massive meal, like go big or go home, or just come on over to my house. There's always plenty of food over here. I was already in the kitchen and I really wanted pumpkin bread, so that's what I made as well, and we ate that for dessert.
This is what one of the kids' plates looked like. And then here is an example of how much, about how much that Guillermo ate as well. So there was our dinner for this night. Another day, another dinner. For this, I just need to get some water boiling. These were potatoes that I baked on a previous day. So I had found potatoes for like 99 cents for a 5-pound bag, so I got 3 of the bags. That's why you're seeing so many potatoes. But I cooked some lentils. This is actually a vegetarian meal. Then I just sauteed some of these green bell peppers, some carrots, and some onions. I'm gonna turn them into like sloppy joe. So here were all the things I was gonna need to make the sloppy joe sauce. Then I just added the veggies in the skillet to just kind of soften, and then I mixed up my sloppy joe mixture of deliciousness. I gave that a good whisk and then just poured it in with the veggies. It's very similar to barbecue sauce with just some slight differences. So I let that cook for just a little bit, and then I added in the cooked lentils. And as you're gonna see, it really turns out to look pretty close to looking like beef. Obviously, you can tell that it's not ground beef, but it was really yummy either way. So I put it on top of the already cooked potatoes, added some sliced cheese, and baked it for just a bit. The next night, I went ahead and grabbed out the ground pork. I decided to do a stir fry, so I just got some rice cooking, and here's all the things that I was going to need to make the sauce to do the stir fry. I love keeping rice vinegar. That's definitely another staple in our house. So always just sauteing my veggies first, and then I added in the ground pork and started browning that up. Just waited till it was almost all the way cooked. My rice was ready. Then it just dawned on me, like, this was not pre-planned. This is what I'm talking about, like the spontaneous planning. I was in there and I decided, hey, this is enough rice that I can do breakfast. So I portioned it out into 2, added some cabbage and a little bit of water. I'm gonna put the lid on it so that could steam for just a bit. Then while that was steaming, I was gonna go ahead and hop back on over to making the, it's like a peanut sauce, but I have to use almond butter because we have a peanut allergy. Then hopping back over to the rice for breakfast. I had thought about doing this in order of like doing all of the dinner at once and then all of the breakfast at once and showing you guys a bit more organized, but this is literally how I cook. I'm just going back and forth because as time permits, I just do what needs to be done in the kitchen. So this breakfast rice is one of my family's favorite. I grew up making this, not realizing that like my husband grew up Mexican, and he actually, it's very similar, just my own Aubrey way. So milk and vanilla and a bunch of cinnamon, some maple syrup. I added some collagen. I think I did about 4 scoops to add some extra protein. I just mix that all up, and I actually you can serve it cold or warm, and I usually add raisins. At that point, the dinner was actually ready. All the cabbage was softened. Breakfast was ready for the next day, and I was super excited. The last meal I have to show for y'all this week was some little mini Mexican pizzas is what I decided to do. Another vegetarian meal. So there's all the ingredients I needed. I started with putting some refried beans and basically rotel in a pan and just mixing them together and getting it nice and warm. Then I got started making some homemade enchilada sauce. Super easy. It's just oil and flour, then chili powder, garlic, salt, pepper. And then you're just going to add in some chicken broth and whisk it and just wait until it gets a good consistency for you. So I basically used that kind of like pizza sauce. I did a layer of the enchilada sauce, then I added some of the bean mixture, then another tortilla, then more enchilada sauce, more beans, and then I topped it with a bunch of veggies and sprinkled on some shredded cheese. Then I just put them in the broiler for like 3 minutes until they looked nice and melted. Served it with a side of a salad and some guacamole, some toppings like sour cream and jalapeno sauce. It turned out really, really good. So there is one of the kids' plates, and then here is Guillermo's plate. This was very fulfilling and a nice budget-friendly meal for sure. Thank you guys so much for kind of meal planning with me, just kind of going through the week and seeing how my brain works. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, y'all have a blessed day.